Hi guys, it's Miss Rose. I am making this video to show you how to make a scrunchie lanyard. So scrunchie lanyards are something that have been marketed to teachers all summer, and so I decided to make them because they did not have breakaway snaps, like safety snaps, and so I am making some with breakaway, and I am going to show you how I do it, okay? I am sure that there are 1,000 different ways to make them, but this is the Miss Rose method. All right, you need your material. Sorry, the light's kind of blinding in the back, but I'm not a professional video maker. It is what it is. Gather your cat or another friend. You need a friend to sew. You need just some basic, I'm going to end up making two and a half
Future
by
Miss Rose
36
here.
inch
I
strips
would
of
do
fabric,
40
a little bit of
to
fabric,
44
your thread,
inches
your machine,
instead
all
of
the things for
36.
that. You also need 3/4 inch elastic. Now I use, it's probably backwards on the screen, but the braided elastic worked really well for me. The non-roll elastic like popped and stuck through the fabric. So get braided elastic, not non-roll elastic. Then you need some sort of something to hang the keys. I have several different options because I'm a shopper. I have those. I have these. What you will probably get in school is something like this, which is like a clasp with the little spinner on it. So those are the supplies you need. You also need something to close it. You need either an emergency buckle in the 1 inch width for the emergency breakaway. There are some that are a little more dainty and not as bulky as this. Or if you have, I don't know what you have in class, but if you have snaps, I have been using snaps. So gather what you need and let's get started. All right, you need two 19-inch strips of elastic, and you need two 36 by 2.5 strips of fabric. Mine are 18 inches. I don't have long enough fabric, so I am going to sew mine. Actually, I need to go right sides together this way. Boop. And then if you fold it at 90 degrees or 45 degrees, it'll make a single strip. So if you don't have long enough strips, or if you want to combine fabrics, put them in an L, go diagonal across, and then they will fold straight down. So I'll show you the next step in a second. So I have folded, or not folded, I have sewed my two pieces together. I have a triangular dog ear here, and I'm just going to clip off so it's nice and smooth. Maybe. Then I'm just gonna press the seam to one side. Let that cool for a second. And then these need to get folded in half long ways. And you wanna go right sides together so you are looking at the outside. So fold them in half, line them up evenly. Do that to both pieces, iron all the way down. Okay, I have ironed both of my pieces. My machine is threaded with just neutral, like a cream thread. I have my friend here. And so I am going to sew just a straight stitch all the way down to close the tube. So straight stitch all the way down to close the tube. 1/4 inch works. I think mine might be 3/8. I'm gonna scoot it over just a smidge. Why is my machine mad at me? Time out, turn off. When in doubt, turn it off and turn it on. Yeah, that looks like about 1/4 inch. Okay, all the way down, both strips, 1/4 inch. Okay, both of my strips are now sewed, and now I need to flip them inside out, and the flipping inside out and the elastic threading can be a little bit tricky. I don't know what the tool is called, but like a threader tool that is the best thing ever. I don't know if you're gonna have these in class, so before I got that, here's what I would do. You make your own threader tool, grab a marker, tape, and just a little scrap of fabric, and tape the little scrap of fabric with a safety pin on the marker, okay? So take your fabric tube, kind of snuggle your marker down in there. Take your safety pin. I don't know if this is going to show right or not. And pin just the inside of the tube, okay? So I've got maybe a 1/2 inch down in there, and then start feeding it through, and this will start to fold in on itself. You'll probably need to help it get started. It's fiddly. This is one of those like slow and steady wins the race kind of things. So I'm gonna start turning it in and then feeding it. And it's kind of like one of those old slinky tubes, like that had all like the glitter liquid in them when you were a kid. They start kind of elapsing or relapsing in on itself. So kind of start to pull, start to mess. Once you get it started, there, that released. Once you get it started, it's not as hard, so it's like an inchworm. And then you just mess. Now, be gentle when you pull, like if you catch a snag, because I can't tell you how many times I have accidentally popped off, not being patient enough. See, my marker's coming out the other end. I have popped off or ripped out the safety pin, and then it's like half turned right side, half turned wrong side, and it's a disaster. So it's starting to pop out. So you will have a round tube like this, and then you just detach your homemade threader tool. I'm gonna do the other one, and then I'll show you. I just have to top press it. All right, so both of them are done. I, of course, snapped my safety pin once, and then said some grumbly words and had to fix it. So basically you wanna go through and roll to where your seam is and flat press. Don't burn your fingers. Let that part cool or work your way farther down. Roll to the seam and flat press. Get both of these like lanyard strips, press back out. Okay, both of mine are pressed. I have my threader tool for my elastic and 2 safety pins. So you will probably want 2 for this one and 2 for this one, so 3 or 4 safety pins total. When you are doing this, it's important to know if you need it to be directional. So this one that I made had a school theme on it with like a clock and a school bus. And the first time I made it, I accidentally made it upside down, and my school buses and clocks were upside down against the badge clasp. So just make sure you are kind of keeping in your head if it has to go in a certain direction, which way's top, which way's bottom, because I learned that the hard way. This one's reversible, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so take your threader tool or your marker and attach your elastic. Okay, so this is gonna pull your elastic through the lanyard casing. So marker into the casing. You sort of have to help the elastic match up with the casing. Once you get going, it's not too tricky. Hopefully it doesn't make a liar out of me. No, there we go. So you just sort of push and pull, push and pull, push and pull. Now, when you get to the end that you are feeding through, you are going to need to stop the elastic with a safety pin, okay? So I'm gonna go about 2 inches in. You're gonna have to do it by feel, which I know can be annoying. Let me grab a ruler. There's a ruler on the back of this. So I'm feeling the elastic in here. So I'm pulling this through until the elastic is just a little less than 2 inches. So the 2-inch mark is like here and here. I'm sorry, this is probably not the best tutorial. Hopefully you can see. And I can feel the elastic like here. So I am going to pin. I need that elastic to stay in place so I can scrunch the fabric, okay? Now this elastic is secured. Again, I'm about 2-ish inches in, and I'm gonna pull the rest of this through gently, and I'm gonna start to scrunch my fabric. once you have your elastic, ooh, see, I popped that at the very end, but I saved it. If you pop it and it goes flying, I'm sorry to tell you, you're gonna have to redo. But that was lucky. Okay, so my elastic is here and it's safe. This is gonna be the top. So if you are sewing on a buckle, I would do 2 inches. If you're doing something like a snap, I would do 1. So I'm just gonna sort of slide my elastic back. Yeah, about an inch. About an inch, and then I'm going to pin it. So right now, I have an open lanyard casing. I have 2 inches on one end with the elastic tugged right here, or pinned right here, and either 2 inches on one end or 1 inch on this end, depending on if you're doing a buckle or if you're doing a snap. Okay, so both of my lanyard casings are pinned on either side, pin on either side. So now use as little fabric as you can to also keep it, but to also have enough to sew. Take this and just fold it in, like you're just tucking in the end so you can close the raw edge. That's probably ½ an inch. I'm eyeballing. And then it takes just a little bit of like smoothing and being patient, which I'm not always the most patient human. There we go. So about ½ an inch, and then just press. And I'm going to run a stitch line there, just like at an 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do that on all 4 ends. So tuck in all 4 ends, press and stitch. That being said, if Mrs. Hughes has a better way to close these or make these look pretty, she has been doing this longer than I have. Actually, about 10-ish years ago when I started sewing, she is the one who taught me how to use a cutting mat and rotary cutter and measuring things, because I was clueless. Once you've closed your ends, clip your threads, and then make sure you feel, like I can feel my elastic right here. So I'm gonna run a line of stitching right here to make sure my elastic doesn't go flying into my lanyard casing. And I'm gonna do that on both sides for both lanyard pieces, and then I'll really clip all the threads. So next thing I'm going to do is secure my, my elastic inside. That way I can take the safety pins out. Tucker, you're not being helpful. All right, so I am on final assembly steps. I have 2 scrunchie pieces. Now, I feel like I could have gotten this to scrunch a little more if I would have maybe used 40 or 42 inch, but it's fine, it scrunches. But if you want more scrunch, instead of 36, do 40 or 42. But for me, this is good to go. So match your 2 ends, like so. And then this is not quite wide enough, but I'm making it work. I'm actually using a really cute heart one because there's hearts on this, but I'm going to assume that you are using one like this for school. So just slide it on there. Don't drop everything. It fits well enough. Slide it on there. And then you are gonna fold in and up. Is this an inch? Yeah, it's an inch, which is why I had us do 2 inches. Now I will say this is one of my toughest parts. My machine does not like this thickness difference, so go slow, be careful. I haven't busted a needle, but I've had like a bird's nest and I've had to rip out and redo. So just you can either follow your stitching line that you already have, or you can go in a little bit further into your stitching line. So I am gonna swap this out for the heart, and I will be back. I did get a bird's nest. I'm not gonna worry about it because this is for me. I'm literally just gonna trim all these off and call it good enough. I do know there are these lanyard clamp things that you like can put on and clamp with a pair of pliers, and you don't have to sew it all on this end. That's just not the hardware that I have. And I totally just cut my fabric. I'm gonna have to zigzag over that because I'm not redoing this whole thing. So don't do that. Don't cut your fabric. All right, I'm not zigzagging over it. It doesn't like it. So I know I have super glue in my desk drawer at school, or I can fabric glue it, but I'm not remaking this whole thing. I'm gonna patch it and move on. So one thing I've done, I've made mistake after mistake when I've made these, it's fine, is before I attach the connector pieces, I like lay it and make sure I have it connected correctly, because I have accidentally like flipped it and had it lay upside down, and that is annoying and you have to undo. So I'm gonna use a snap tool. If you have a snap tool, just look up like snap pliers, how to apply a snap, and do that. I'm gonna put a plastic snap right here. If you are using hopefully something more dainty than this, but if you're using something like this, put it in, fold it, sew it, and do that on both sides. I'll see you in just a second. Okay, I have applied my snap. Gotta have that safety breakaway. And my lanyard is complete, stretchy, ready to unlock doors and keep moving. All right, I know in the world of tutorials, just about every other one is more professional than this, but I hope it was at least helpful enough to get you started. Bye.